All right, welcome to Healthy Together Time. We're so excited to have you here tonight, and I'm excited to be hosting. My name is Lauri Warren. I'm a certified Optavia coach, and I'm in Parker, Texas. And I have my lovely coach, Mejken on here with me. You'll be hearing from her in just a minute, but we want to start with a couple of announcements about our Healthy Together Time. The very first one is that beginning next week, our time for Healthy Together will be shifting back 30 minutes. You know, we just did a time change for daylight savings. We're going to do a Healthy Together time change, and it's just going to work a little more seamlessly for us with some of the exciting things that we have planned. So just you can look at the times right there and see where that fits for you. And then the other exciting announcement that we have is right now we have the Essential Start program going on, which or promotion that Optavia has offered for people just to help people get started in these crazy times and crazy world, just to give you a financial boost for people to get started. It's $90 off. So if you are already on program, but you have friends who have been watching you or friends who have been on your heart, this is the perfect time to let them know that there is an amazing savings offer to help them get that little kickstart going on their health. So make sure you let people know about that amazing offer that we have. And then just a little review. Most of us are pretty familiar with our 4 components of our program, but let's just review that real quick. The first component is, or the first tool that we have is an independent Optavia coach. And so we all have a coach who is there to walk along with us side by side and to be the guide to the resources that are really going to help us be successful. And then the second component of the program is our Habits of Health Transformational System, which Dr. A put together. It consists of the Life book and the Habits of Health book. And we definitely see that clients who utilize this are way more successful. So very important part. And then the third part is our Optavia community, and yay for you for being here tonight and engaging in that part of the program. That also makes a huge difference. And then the last part is our amazing fuelings and our nutrition program. And we're going to talk a lot more about that tonight. So let's just talk a minute here. So tonight we're going to be raising the question, are you doing the 5-in-1 or are you doing the 5-in-1-ish? Does that term make you laugh? It kind of does me too. But when I heard it, I was like, what is the 5-in-1-ish? We're going to talk about how to really rock your plan, whatever it is. So I want you to think back to when you first talked to your coach and when you were getting ready to start. Were you nervous? How did you feel? Or were you excited to reach your goals? Were you kind of some of both? I want you to put it in the chat. How did you feel? Were you clear on what you wanted to build and create in your life? Sometimes we start with kind of a little goal, like, I just want to fit back in my clothes that are in my closet. Some people start with a bigger goal, like, I want to reach optimal health and just change the trajectory of my life. Whatever that was, you'll definitely find that that's going to evolve and change as you keep going and continue to work on your dreams. But I want you to think about when you very first opened your box and you had all those new tools sitting in front of you to help you reach and build that dream. So we use that word tool a lot. And I want you to look right here. What do I have in my hands? I have a hammer. And I want you to think about if you were going to build a house. This is going to be the house of your dreams. And you take that hammer and you start hammering away at the nails into the wood. And in the beginning, you're using it properly and it's just driving those nails in and you're having success. But then as time keeps going, you're kind of not paying attention as much and you're still hammering, but things start shifting. And before you know it, you're hammering with the claw side of your hammer. And you can just kind of picture how that would be for trying to hammer nails in. Every once in a while, you might kind of get one in, but a lot of times you'd be missing and you'd be expending a lot of energy. And even the ones that were going in probably weren't going in straight, and so you're just not really getting the best results. And you might even have your house plans, but maybe in the beginning you were checking your house plans a lot. But then after a while you thought, oh, I have them memorized, I don't need to look at them anymore. So you stop looking at them. And I want to show what you might end up with if you were building a house that way. You might end up with an oops, right? Can you see that house? Like it's not looking like the house of your dreams anymore. It's kind of collapsing a little bit. So can you kind of see where I'm going with this analogy? Sometimes people are starting the program or the 5-in-1, and we're going gung-ho and we're acing it. And then, oops, something comes along and starts to slow progress a little bit. And we start feeling a little bit stuck and a little bit frustrated. And we might actually be doing things that we might not even be realizing that our hammer is slipping and turning. And there might be things that we're not aware of. So just like when you're building your dream home, you have to have inspections throughout the process. And we want to help you inspect if you are doing the 5-in-1 or the 5-in-1-ish. So we're going to run through some questions that will be applicable to any plan. But a quick review of why these questions are so particularly important with the 5-in-1. So I'm going to give you a visual demonstration that is very simplified, but will help you kind of just remind you of why this is so important. So on the 5-in-1, we are working to get your body into this magical fat burning state. And what does fat burning state mean? Well, here's my example. So we have carbohydrates that exist in two forms in our body when you're eating normally. So we have free and accessible carbs. That's what we have right here. And then we have stored carbs, which are actually called glycogen. When your body needs fuel, first, it's going to go to those accessible free carbs, like when you eat a bagel or drink a glass of orange juice. And then once all those free carbs are gone, then your body's going to turn to its stored carbs. And you kind of know this takes 3 to 5 days for your body to work through the glycogen stores or the free carb stores. The stored carbs storage. And so we work through those in those 3 to 5 days. And then the most amazing thing starts. Your body turns to its fat for fuel. And when your body turns to fat for fuel, it's kind of like there's a party going on inside. And it really starts, people start experiencing feeling energized and feeling lighter and brighter and just feeling that brain fog clear, and their hunger and cravings are dissipating and the pounds are leaving your body. So put in a one in the chat if you've ever experienced kind of that feeling of being in the fat burn. So sometimes along our journey, we can find that our choices consciously or unconsciously are starting to refill that free carb jar, and we don't even realize that we're doing it. So that's what we're going to do a little inspection here. Get out your pen and a piece of paper, and you're going to evaluate yourself and your inspection on how you're doing. Rate yourself 1 through 10, 10 being like I'm acing it, I'm doing perfect, and a 1 being like, oops, I forgot to do that part. So we're going to run through those questions. First question is, are you eating 6 times per day? Are you eating every 2 to 3 hours? You might need to be utilizing timers for this, or alarms, or an app, something that helps remind you. Are you having your first fueling within an hour of waking up? This might be completely new for some people. It was for me. Are you having 5 fuelings and 1 lean and green as part of those 6 times per day? Not 4 and not 7, but 5 fuelings, which make it really simple for you. So you're not having to calculate and do a lot of meal prep for 5 of your meals, but then 1 of your meals, you're practicing making a healthy meal. And then are you measuring that lean and green? This is crucial, you guys, and using that guide. Are you checking yourself and checking the weights and the measurements that you need for your lean and green? The preciseness makes a difference. So make sure you have a scale and that you are being precise with those things. Are you checking your fats and having the appropriate amount? On page 18, it tells you if you're having a leanest, you need 2 healthy fats with that. It's not like it's optional. You need those 2 fats. If you're having a leaner, you need 1 added fat. And if you're having a lean, you need 0 fats. And it makes a difference, guys. That's really important to check that. And then, are you keeping track of your condiments? Do you know where to find the condiments in your guide? And are you making sure that you're having no more than 3 of those in the day? And are you keeping your snack to a minimum? There's an optional snack that's available. It is optional. You don't have to use it. But if you have that time of day, you can use it, but only once a day. So make sure that's not getting off track. And then, are you getting your 80 to 100 ounces of water in? The minimum is 64, but what we found works best is at least 80 to 100 ounces of water. Are you getting 7 hours of sleep at least? And are you adding an appropriate amount of healthy motion? So I've had a couple people lately say, Lauri, I was thinking that we weren't supposed to exercise while we were on the 5&1. I don't know how that's gotten around, but it's actually what they recommend is if you haven't been exercising before, for the first 3 weeks, don't start as your body is getting into that fat burning state. But then at that point, it's very important to start healthy motion. So don't skip that, and talk to your coach about what would be appropriate for you. It could be a little bit different for each person. And then the last one, how are you doing at navigating your stress and your emotions? And I would direct you, I mean, we all have it. It never goes away. Stress and emotions are there every single day. So element 4 is your go-to place. Mine is dog-eared and frayed from rereading it over and over. Such a powerful tool. So now I want you to take a minute to look at your ratings and circle and star the ones that could use some work that maybe weren't 10s. And this could be just what you need to help you use your tool, right, in the correct way, like get that turned back around and getting those nails going in, and just really achieve success by building a beautiful, healthy life of your dreams. I'm excited now to turn the time over to my sweet, beautiful coach, Mejken, who's going to share some more tips on how to get your plan working for you in the best possible way. So Mejken, take it away.
Awesome, you guys. Thank you, Lauri, so much. So I wanted to kind of transition into this portion by keeping in congruence with the idea that she just shared, that inspection, because there is one other thing that you really have to inspect weekly, monthly, yearly as you are transforming your health, and that is what you want and why you want it. And so often, I know that I've been guilty of this, so maybe you have too, if you're anything like me. But I have found that if you aren't aware of what you want and why you want it, it is really difficult for, number one, your coach to partner with you in helping you to get to that reality and to create it for yourself. But it's also really hard for you to partner with yourself if you're not fully aware of what you want and why you want it. And so that really requires a lot of inspection as well. And the thing that I found, I want you to look at this picture of the girl climbing the staircase. And I picked this one because she's almost to the top, but she's not quite there. And actually, if I could go in and change it right now, I'd say maybe back her up a couple more steps, because she's a little bit in the middle. So she's not where she used to be. She's farther along than she used to be, right? But she's not quite where she wants to be. She's not at her ultimate destination of, let's say that's climbing to the top of the staircase. And I feel like that's what sometimes, that's a situation or a circumstance that we can find ourselves in when we might be doing the 5&1-ish, and we may not be following those basic principles of the 5&1 or whatever program it is that we're on, that we find ourselves in this stuck position. You're not where you were, but you're also not where you want to be. And so I just want to challenge all of you to think about, anything in life. Of course, like tonight on our call, we're talking about mental, physical, and even financial health. But anything in life that's worth doing is going to come at some sort of cost, right? You're going to have some sort of something that you may have to set aside or sacrifice in the moment for what you want to create in the future. So I want you to be thinking throughout the call tonight. I want you to be thinking, is the cost of earning it, so it being maybe physical health or whatever that looks like for you, is the cost of earning it worth the benefit of having it? Am I willing to put in the work that it might take to get that reality that I'm working towards? Am I willing to lean into that cost to create what I want? Okay. So be thinking about that. If you're stuck, I want you to keep that question in your mind. So this is another fun example that I'm going to relate to what Lauri has shared up to this point. I want you to think about road tripping. And this is just an example of road tripping to Disneyland, but I want you to think of maybe your favorite place or somewhere where it's a tradition with your family. You guys always know that every year or every month you jump in the car and you go to this place. But just do me a favor tonight, and I want you to be thinking that it's at least 8, maybe 10, maybe even 20 hours away that you would be sitting in the car road tripping to get there. And in this example, I'm going to think of Disneyland. So nobody, at least not me, I can't speak for all of you, but I don't think that I would ever wake up and think, I am so excited to sit in the car for 10 hours or 20 hours, to go somewhere. But when I know that my destination is going to be Disneyland, that feeling tends to be a little bit different, right? Even if my car is really smelly, or my air conditioning is totally broken, or my kids are screaming at the top of their lungs or fighting, if I know that my destination is Disneyland, I'm willing to go through a little bit of discomfort, or I'm willing to come up against those obstacles because I know that eventually I'm going to get to Disneyland. Now go one step further with me, okay? It's not even just about getting to Disneyland, but if we're really crystal clear on that trip and what we want, we're now with this in the smelly car thinking about those zooming roller coasters that we're going to be riding, right? The pictures that we're going to be taking with our family, the connections, the experiences, the memories that we're making. And all of a sudden, my image of what I want to create and what I want it to look like becomes really, really clear. And there's nothing that would keep me from getting, almost nothing, I should say, that would keep me from getting to Disneyland. And isn't that so applicable to our health goal? If we aren't crystal clear on what we want and why we want it, it's really easy to get stuck in the middle of that staircase. It's really easy to skip over those inspections when we're thinking about our plan and just kind of eat a little bit of this and a little bit of that and just go for it and hope it turns out. And so I want you to be thinking about, if I'm crystal clear on Disneyland, I can handle the obstacles I may confront to get there. Okay. So before we go into our next section, I just want to encourage you to, as you're sitting here and you're thinking about it, because trust me, I have been guilty of this and I've been caught in that stuck position. We don't want you to beat yourself up. We don't want you to be thinking, oh my gosh, like I know what I'm doing wrong, or Lauri wrote all those, listed all those questions and I could be doing better here and here and here. What we really want you to do is connect with your coach and really decide, are there things that I could modify, or is there a place that I could be doing better? Or could I be hammering with the right side of my hammer to get better results and really create my Disneyland, really get to my destination that I want to be at? So now what we're so excited to get to do is introduce Penny Pierce, and she is a client and a coach on our team, and she has an incredible story. And one of the reasons that we wanted her to share tonight is because she has had experience with, looking at what is defined as the 5-in-1, and having that experience of maybe dabbling between the 5-in-1-ish and the 5-in-1 itself and what that looked like for her. So we're going to throw it over to you, Penny. Thank you so much for being on.
Hi, thank you so much for asking me. I'm so happy to be here and share some things about my story. I'm gonna tell you a very, very quick version of my story, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about the 5-in-1-ish at the end. So I'm Penny Pierce. My husband is Mark. We've been married for 40 years. We have 5 children. And we were from Texas. My husband's from Texas, but we raised our children in Texas, and all 5 of our children married people from Missouri. So can you guess where we live? We don't live in Texas. We live in Missouri. So we have 14 grandchildren. When I was in my 30s, I started having symptoms of fibromyalgia. That's where all your muscles in your body hurt, even in your face. At least it did for me, and in my rib cage and stuff. I was under a lot of stress at the time when this just kind of happened, and I also found out I was allergic to a food additive. And I started eliminating that from my diet. I did as much research as I could at the time. This is before the internet. And so there wasn't a lot of information about fibromyalgia. But I eliminated that from my diet, and I felt like I had it under control. When I got into my 40s and 50s, I could not lose weight. Everything I'd ever done in the past, it was like some switch had been turned off, and I was gradually gaining weight. I could not lose, even though I was exercising. So I just kept thinking, maybe I need to exercise more. We sort of had a traumatic event in our family where my husband contracted bacterial meningitis. He was in a coma for 7 days, and it took him 5 years to recover once he woke up from that coma. It caused some brain damage, and I was a stay-at-home mom for 27 years. I was thrown back in the working world. We had to leave our home in Texas. We moved to Missouri. I got this great job, but I was working outside the home in my training at the hospital, and then I was just on, let me just say, I was just on survival mode. had to take care of my family. My husband was recovering. I still had 2 teenagers at home. And I was on survival mode, and I couldn't worry about myself. And my health just spiraled down, and I just kept gaining weight. And my fibromyalgia was at an all-time high. It stayed at about a 6 to a 10 on a pain scale for over 10 years. And I was praying that I could find an answer, something, anything to help me feel better and get the weight off, because I thought if I got the weight off, maybe the fibromyalgia would be better. I prayed and, decided that I had come to the point where I decided that I was really blessed in my life to have a wonderful family, and I just wasn't going to get the health part of it. Like, I don't get to have everything, and so I thought, I'm a nice person at least, I can't worry about this. I've got to put a smile on my face, and I've got to go to work, and I've got to be happy. My daughter found out about Optavia, and she tried to tell me about it one day, and I was not interested at all. I thought it was a gimmick. I thought it was a diet fad. I just was not interested, and I couldn't. Now that I think about it, it's kind of funny because I'm sitting here praying for an answer. So one day she has a blueberry farm, and they have cattle and everything. And we were sitting out in the blueberry patch, and she said, "Mom, if you keep your blood sugars level, the weight will come off of you." And I stopped in my tracks, and I knew what she was saying was true. and all the medical background that I'd had and all my own nutritional research that I'd done for myself and my family, I knew that was right. And I said, okay, tell me about your program. So she told me about it. And then she took her phone and she pulled up Lauri Warren's before and after. Now, I'd known Lauri in Texas. We were friends in Texas. And when I saw Lauri Warren's before and after, it was the first time that I had this little glimmer of hope that maybe I could do this. Maybe I could do this. Because I knew we were about the same age. And I thought, well, she did it. She did it. And so I, that kind of rest is history, but I lost 75 pounds in 13 months. It could have only taken me 8 months, maybe 9 months, but it took me 13. I took the scenic route. And I'll tell you what I learned on my journey with the 5-in-1. One thing I learned is that at the holidays, there were a couple things I really wanted to have. And I was feeling so good. And I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna, and I would plan it out what I was gonna have. Well, when you go off the 5-in-1, you go out of fat burn. Okay, so I knew that. I never gained weight. Okay, but maybe I'd have a week where I only lost 0.1 pound. You know what I mean? Or maybe I stayed the same for a week. And then after the holidays and everything, I noticed that my problem was I wanted to have the optional snack 5 times a day instead of 1 time a day, stuff like that. So grabbing a handful of almonds, handful of popcorn, those are my two things, almonds and popcorn. Love them. So I never gained weight, but it just took me that long. Okay. And so this is what I learned. If you do the 5-in-1, you lose weight. You're in fat burn and you lose weight. If you do the 5-in-1-ish, you will stay the same or you will gain weight. That's the science. Isn't that scientific? So that's what I learned about that. But I also wanted to say, my fibromyalgia pain, we can't say that Optavia cures anything, but it does lessen inflammation. And when you lessen inflammation, you get out of the disease. And so I don't have fibromyalgia pain. I have been smiling for 2 years, you guys. I can't stop smiling. Like every single day I'm smiling because I feel amazing. So that's my story.
Oh my gosh, you guys, Penny, thank you so much. Can you see why we chose her, and what a great way to end tonight's call? Just I start every day smiling. I can't stop smiling. What a gift to give yourself and to give to other people. So with the time that we have left, we just want to encourage all of you, if you're interested in learning more about helping people, which is something that Penny did after she had her own experience with the program and decided to pay it forward, that we really encourage you to reach out to your own coach for more information. Penny, again, thank you so much for sharing, and thank you guys for joining Healthy Together tonight. And just take some time when you can during the rest of this week to really examine your plan and what you can do to propel yourself forward to your future goals and the reality that you want to create. So thank you so much for coming.